Welcome back. And moving on to our first segment of today, talking about SMEs in Egypt and facilities provided to the small and medium enterprises, providing the know-how as well and supporting all new projects. Here in the studio, we have the pleasure to have with us Dr. Raouf Gaafar. He's an economic expert. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning to you.
So, first of all, I would like to shed the light on the importance of the SMEs as being the main pillar of boosting economy.
As far as we know, SMEs represent almost 80% of the national product, which is, of course, a very important part. So it has to be given a very big importance, and this is exactly what is being done lately. So this is one of the reasons why SMEs are so vital. And this is my personal opinion. Second thing is that they don't require a lot of capital, they don't require a lot of preparations, infrastructures and what have you.
But it requires knowledge, and I think this is one of the main challenges. If we're talking about knowledge and capability of the owners of the SMEs, of course, in addition to the idea of working on the competitive advantage of what they are producing.
Absolutely. You said knowledge. Of course, knowledge is essential here, but sometimes people might have a small capital and they don't know what to do with it. So one of the things that is offered by the institutions now is that they can even provide you with a feasibility study, with a market survey, and they can even help you market your product. So it is important, and of course knowledge is important.
And so how can we work on this? I mean, what are facilities provided in this respect?
As far as the governmental agencies are concerned, first of all, this has been an initiative started by the central bank, implemented by the commercial banks. They provide loans, microloans and mini loans to whoever is interested to establish his own private business. They train the entrepreneurs, especially the young ones, how to manage their business. And as we said, they provide them, of course, needless to say that the financing they give is a very soft financing, paid over a very long time, with a very little interest rate, etc., etc. But on top of that, they provide, they have ready feasibility studies for different projects, so they can provide any entrepreneur with that. Not only that, but they can help him sell, or her, of course, sell her product or his product. So again, the help and the facility comes from everywhere. It is simply to help people to start their own small business.
What about initiatives adopted by the ministry to support this sector?
Absolutely. They are providing, as I said, very soft loans. But
sometimes the fact of just taking the loan when it comes to a new graduate, for example, or to women, because this is included in women empowerment as well.
Of course.
So sometimes it is a little bit risky and they are scared because especially you're entering a new market and still you have many risks.
Yes.
So definitely we need to work more on this. Some people are aware of what is going on and they are capable of implementing their projects, but some others, they are shaky hands. One can describe them like this.
I think if the institution or the bank feels at any point of time that his client needs any help, needs any push,
he wants to work, but still he's scared of the risk.
Absolutely, and mind you, there's always a risk in the finance business. So banks are taking this into consideration, and I'm sure they provide a percentage of risk in their in any endeavor. So probably they know that out of 100 small loans they will grant, maybe 2 or 3 will default. But again, probably most of them will go, and I like to stress on the point you raised a few seconds ago about women empowerment, because again, the SMEs can be very much directed into this point. I mean, they can help women. I have to mention again that one of the advantages of SMEs is that it can be established anywhere. You don't need a big city. You don't need. You can do it in any small village in the far end of Egypt, for example. So this again is important, because the bank comes to you and they offer their help and financing to you wherever you are, so that you can do it. Sometimes women do it from their own homes, and they don't even have to go. Plus the fact, of course, that it employs people. So any small or medium enterprise can employ maybe 5, 10, less, more, up to 50. So it provides employment for a lot of people, particularly the youngs.
Sir, talking also about the challenges that we are facing right now, and for sure SMEs suffered maybe more than other sectors due to the pandemic or the COVID. And definitely this was very much clear, especially in the small enterprises, yes, with small budgets. So how did the government work on this, and how can all entities support them in this?
Of course, I mean, the COVID-19 affected the whole world, unfortunately. And the sad part is that we don't know until now when it will come to an end. I mean, we have managed so far to keep the balance, but again, it can take as long as nobody knows. So anyway, but as you rightly said, particularly in the medium enterprises, a lot of people fail to go to work. But in that case, we have heard about initiatives, repeated initiatives, about sort of delaying payments, sometimes even canceling some of the accumulated debts, etc., trying to give a push to people, understanding, of course, the situation, because this is unfortunately completely out of their hands. So they are helping. I mean, institutions wait, and maybe they prolong the grace periods a little bit, the repayment period, etc., trying to help people to continue their projects and hopefully to be able to work it out.
Talking about the free zones built specifically for the SMEs products along the Suez Canal, how can it help and support this sector, and how will it change the how it looks, or the map of Egyptian economy in general?
By definition, such areas are useful, because sometimes you need componentry coming from abroad, so you don't need to go into the taxes and then again export if this is directed to exports. And normally these areas are made for that, because they are directed to export, so you can use the imported components, and then when you export your product, you don't have to go into a lot of paperwork. So these are, of course, very important. It is always equipped with everything you need as far as an entrepreneur is concerned. So you don't have to apply for different things. It is easier because it is available. Of course, there is a central office where you can get all the approvals and paperwork done in a very short time. So a lot of facilities are given to small entrepreneurs, and they provide them with everything they need, starting from infrastructure up to whatever they need. Probably, as you rightly said, it is by the Suez Canal, so it is once again near ports. So if they need to export, they don't have to transport their goods for long distances, etc., etc. So such areas are very important, particularly for the medium-sized enterprises.
Talking about reaching the global trade and how we can reach this level and upgrade our SMEs products to reach this level regarding exporting.
As we mentioned earlier, if SMEs represent 70 or 80% of the gross national product, so at least the concept should be export. And thank God Egypt is very well situated, and we have a lot of emerging markets around us that can accept reasonable quality and competitive price.
But how can we support them? I mean, yes, if they were able to achieve and to have this level of competitive advantage.
Well, the government is providing them with all facilities. I mean, even on the continental level, we hear about signing agreements about free trade, about free passage, etc. So they are helping the movement of trade between one country or the other, thus giving the producer the possibility to sell his product in different countries. We hear about trades and exhibitions that are always and regularly taking place in different African countries, etc. So again, offering the Egyptian products to these markets. I mean, a lot of all sorts of help the government is providing, simply to help the entrepreneurs, of course, and at the end, it all pours into the economy and to the improvement of the economy, of course.
What about the private sector, and what is the role played by the private sector so far to help and promote for more when it comes to the SMEs?
First of all, and I think this was mentioned and said repeatedly by the President, that the private sector should represent or has the responsibility to carry on 70 to 75% of the development of the country. And this, of course, it is a very big percentage. Most of the industries need what we call feeding industries, and normally the feeding industries are small and medium enterprises. So again, a large establishment can provide, again, help and support to all the feeding industries it needs.
How can we work more on the feeding industry? When I talk about the feeding industry, I always separate it from the SMEs, because I'm not talking about someone who would like to have his own project, but I'm talking about a huge entity that is opening the door for some small and medium enterprises to work, to provide, like for example, the automotive.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
you agree with me,
this
is the most important industry,
yes,
because you have many different sectors that will go under the umbrella of the automotive if they are working here in Egypt, and food as well. I'm talking
yes,
about components,
yes, yes.
and definitely this will affect the price.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
how can we work on it?
First of all, as you said earlier, the small and medium enterprises, they represent a competitive price, reasonably competitive price, because the overheads are not that high. Number two, as again you mentioned, the automotive industry, probably the feeding industry will be established somewhere around the big facility. So the transport will be minimal, and the cost will be, any overhead cost will be reduced to the minimal. So these are the kind of facilities that are provided. Not only that, but they can even advance them to get their own raw material and not have recourse to the banks to reduce a little bit all expenses related, like interests, etc., etc. A lot of things can be done, and the example you stated about the automotive industry is a very true and very clear example for the feeding industry. Any car, I'm sure it needs.
We have a huge amount of small
of course,
pieces and parts.
hundreds of small pieces
Yes, of
that
course.
can be manufactured separately and according to, of course, specifications and satisfaction to the mother company, and with competitive price. And once again, we have to stress,
like the clothes, for example, we have seen many big brands, and they have their own small
of course,
industries.
of
Whether we're
course.
talking, for example, about the button, the small pieces of the clothes, they have some other people working for the
100%.
factory.
100%.
Who is the leading in this respect? If I'm
What?
talking, who is the leading country in this respect?
I think China. And because, again, they are very heavily populated, of course, and they can do the work at home. I remember having been there and hearing about the manufacturing of lighters. I mean, a small cigarette lighter, although we should not mention cigarettes, but again, a lighter is made of maybe 15, 20, 30 different small, very, very small pieces. So they are made by mainly women in their homes. So the final assembly company, they distribute the raw material on the different ladies in their homes. They manufacture the parts they are responsible to do, and then they collect these parts from them again, and they are assembled. So in one street, they can produce something, and in the other street another thing, etc., etc. So of course, the small and medium enterprises, as far as feeding industry, becomes very essential for the
especially that such small pieces will require efficiency.
Sure. I mean, it is all according to norms and specifications agreed upon, and most of them work by the piece. So if you are producing 100 pieces, 90% of them are accepted. They pay you for the 90 and they don't for the 10. So you will make your effort that next day you produce 95 pieces according to the requirements, etc. So, of course, quality is a major factor in any product now. And mind you, regardless of the market, everybody is becoming very cautious of the quality. You want to buy something that will stay with you and not buy it today and throw it in the same day. So quality control is becoming essential. And of course, mind you, again, one of the things that are provided by the either mother companies or even financial institutions is training. So they can provide training courses for the young entrepreneurs to help them improve their quality and their skills in their whatever they are manufacturing.
I think this is of great importance even to help our new generation to adopt this idea, even starting from, let's say, teenagers. just helping them and teaching them, whether we're talking about schools, about universities, the fact that how to work, how to start something very small on your own. So as after graduation, this is going to be something normal for him. I mean, to take the step to start his own small business.
Absolutely. We have
seen this actually, yes. I can see kids and they are doing something on themselves, and they are standing inside the club or different places, just selling such small pieces for a small amount of money, but they learned how to earn their own money.
Absolutely right. And this is the new education methods. So they see the young students, and they can sort of pinpoint their interests, what they are skilled in doing, and then they start to stress on this line and train them, etc., to become experts in whatever they are doing. Expand the technical education. I mean, not everybody should go all the way to universities and graduate and look for a job. He can work. As a matter of fact,
change the mindset in general.
Of course, it is coming. I mean, the education in Egypt, we can feel, although we are a little bit old for education now, but again, you can feel that there is a change of strategy. They are changing, as you said, the mindset of the young people, and making them understand that they should not be university graduates to become successful, but again, if they excel in whatever things they do, they will be good.
Dr. Raouf Gaafar, economic expert, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, my dear.
Right, and moving on to a quick break, then we'll be back with more on The Breakfast Show.